Anil the Fish is back. We've got a guest this week, so you don't listen to us talking pish. But before we get into tonight's guest, Jordan's got his wee spiel about our sponsor.
Like to thank Allied Maritime Solutions for sponsoring this episode and the couple of ones before it, and the ongoing ones in the future. They're the best in the maritime sector. I forget what I was going to say.
That's what they are.
Aye, they use clean boats.
Aye, mate. We clean boats, aye. Build boats, clean boats.
Aye, clean boats, make sure nobody's cutting their fingers off and all that kind of carry on. But they're ran by a handsome man, Aaron Boyd, and aye, he's got a pecker, but he's handsome. Before we
plug your charity before you go.
Help for Veterans, another one. We've got we're climbing Ben Nevis on Sunday. By the time this is out, it'll be the next day. So if you're on Facebook or Instagram or that, get a wee like and a follow and a share if possible.
Tonight's guest, I'd fair to say, got a remarkable story. Something that kind of draws to us as people that fight and don't give up and charge on. I'd fair to say. I say that's fair to say for yourself. So tonight's guest, Zoe Croft. I will not get into Zoe Croy. I'll not get too much into your story. I'll let you go into that. But how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Jordan's good. Stevie good.
Fantastic. I'm feeling Ben Nevis, but I've already been up at a couple of times and I'm back up on Sunday and my legs are already so.
I just bought boots today, mate. And I've got a blister for walking about to work with them. So I bring them in. Honking.
Wait, get a pair of them.
Crocs. Okay. I was going to say nothing. I wear Crocs and I get destroyed by wearing Crocs.
So I used to actually really hate Crocs.
Why?
And everyone will contest this. I used to hate them. And then I got a pair and have wore them almost every day. For a year. I just had to buy new ones. And it was like...
When walked out, you going, don't say nothing, don't notice them, please don't notice them.
Yeah, like please no one comment on the fact that I have
They're
Crocs
the best
on.
things. They're so comfy. Like, it's shockingly how good they are.
Everyone slates me for it now though. Like they're like, oh, you and those Crocs. And I'm like,
they destroy me for it.
Croc Lesnar.
Croc Lesnar, aye.
They're made of rubber. How can they become?
He didn't get Crocs. He got the ones with Primark. He's got alligators.
No, I've got the real ones. I've tried the cheap ones. They're just as good.
You've got a wee bit of wee torch snap on it, haven't you?
The wee bits and bobs on them ones.
Aye, but that's not a torch. You've got the wee torch because you're boats and hose and that, haven't you?
I've got a wee hang at the back, a wee utility pouch on the back strap. Don't know what to put in it, you know. But aye.
Boat logo.
Anyways, not about Crocs, it's about Zoe's story. Zoe, to be fair, you've been through adversity, to say the least. What age are you, Zoe?
So I'm 28. And I first found out about the gene 3 years ago now, so I would have been 25.
Can we go into, like, obviously,
yeah,
people will know, but what's the story behind the gene? Is that...
So I've got a gene called ATM, which is very similar to Brca, which is the gene that most people will tend to know about. It's the most common gene. My gene just started getting tested for in about 2020, and my mum had got a letter in the post just saying, we're testing new samples, we've got a sample of yours, can we basically test it and see if you've got one of these genes? So it came back that she had the gene, and then that obviously allowed me to then get my testing. I had postponed my testing for a year because I just felt that I wasn't really in the headspace to really think about the gene, the testing, what that actually meant, and like the reality of it all. And then I had my test in 2022 and it came back that I had ATM, and then I just kind of went through the process of having a double mastectomy to basically prevent the risk. So
that's
overall,
what I was going to ask. Is that the procedure, or is that your decision to go?
So it is a decision. So when you find out you've got the gene, essentially you have two options.
Yeah.
You can just live your life, and if unfortunately something metastasizes, then that's something that happens. It might not. It is just an increase of risk. But for me and my family history, to be honest, it just really wasn't worth the risk. And also I have an opportunity that they never got because I know about it before it's happened. So I think I definitely just embraced that and thought, well, like my auntie, for example, she passed away at 21. Not from breast cancer, from non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which is linked to ATM. And I was 25 when I found out. So I'd already outlived my auntie by 4 years when I found out. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to kind of live my life. And the fact that I've reduced my risk by 90% is massive. And it's a massive weight that's lifted as well, because mentally you're not consistently checking, you're not, you know, you're not worried, you're not thinking about, oh, but what if it's totally undescribable as like to the weight that actually does get lifted. It's just
so
a totally
how
different
long did
feeling.
it take you to make that decision? Obviously, for when you got the gene.
I mean, I said before I'd even had the test, like, if this comes back positive, like, I want to have the mastectomy.
Aye.
And she was like, okay, like, again, like, there's a lot of procedure, like speaking to psychiatrists and making sure that you're in the right headspace, that you're doing it for the right reasons. Of course, there's a big focus on body dysmorphia, because your body does completely change. And I think that for me, because I had already seen, well, I mean, I didn't see my nana and my auntie have cancer because I was just a baby, but I seen my mum have cancer, and I looked after my mum throughout her whole treatment, through chemo, through radio. I knew her little red book through like the back of my hand. So for me, I just didn't ever want to be in that position where it was me that had my own little red book and having to deal with everything, because I'd already experienced it, and I was like, that's enough. I don't want to do it again. So I had kind of just said, I want the mastectomy, I want to reduce the risk, don't want to wait about. She said that obviously if I didn't have the gene, then I wouldn't have the access to getting a mastectomy. I would lose my right to early testing. So it was a very difficult decision to make, because if I didn't have the gene test, I would still get my early testing.
Aye.
But I would still be consistently checking. I would still be a paranoid mess. And I would be, I think, just always worrying that something was going to happen.
Aye.
So the idea of not having to go through that, I was like, I choose that.
Oh, aye,
Must have been
aye.
quite hard, but because you've like prepared yourself in case you did have that gene. But see, once it kind of sets into reality, like, fuck, this is what it is, and I need to go through with this. What was that like?
Again, I think expectation versus reality
That's,
very much hits differently. And I think when I'd made this decision to have the mastectomy and everything like that, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone that had ever had a mastectomy. I'd known people that had breast cancer, but my mum, she had a procedure called a lumpectomy, which is where they just remove the tumour mass and sometimes any extra tissue around it in case there's anything that's metastasised there. But I'd never known anyone, especially not anyone
Aye.
Like your age
in my
anyway,
age.
aye.
Because typically, I mean, a lot of people that have mastectomies tend to roughly be, potentially in their 50s,
Yeah, aye.
because that's when most people typically
Most of
will
us.
get breast cancer. And I think that it was a big realisation that I was going into something, and I had knowledge of it because I had done quite a lot of research when my mum had cancer.
Yeah.
Because, again, that was one of her options. She could have the lumpectomy or she could have the mastectomy. And I think because it's a lot, it's okay to read up on it, and it's okay for doctors and nurses to say to you, like, this is the process. But they don't go home.
I know.
Like, they don't live with it after. So they couldn't give me that lived experience of
Aye.
the realities. Even things like what it felt like. Because obviously you do lose a lot of sensation, and even just how that feels is very difficult, and even to explain that to someone is very difficult.
Yeah.
And if you've never been through it, you can't then explain that. So after searching through Instagrams, finding people who are maybe like affiliated with breast cancer charities, so like advocates, ambassadors, sort of looking out for people like that, reaching out to people saying, look, I'm in this sort of situation. It's not a bit of an unexpected situation has arisen, but can you maybe like point me in the direction of maybe someone who's gone through it, either preventative or through breast cancer, because it's still the same procedure. It is just that unfortunately for some people it has been too late, and that is the option that's for them. Or you then have the people who have been lucky enough in a sense to know about their gene and have the opportunity to prevent it. So yeah, I think it's a hard balance in terms of once that reality set in, but once I spoke to people and started discuss some of the fears, some of the worries, or even just some of the things I didn't understand. And then
how hard was it to get in touch with people? Was it easy to find them or what online?
I think once, it's like anything, and you guys will know, like once you find like one person, like you can sometimes then find like other people that are associated. And then, or they might say, I might not be the best person, but actually this person's got an Instagram, go and speak to them. Before you know it, you've found maybe 3 or 4 pages, you've spoken to them, they've then maybe given you 1 or 2 people. So before you've got a handful of people that you can speak to, 1 or 2 of them then directed me to charities. So I've built up a really good relationship with Brca plus chat. So the 2 founders of that have both got Brca, and they have essentially created this as a place for people with Brca, but also the little plus means that it can include people like myself with ATM who aren't necessarily falling under that specific bracket. They do loads of great stuff. They've even got things like a mastectomy gallery. And they've got different types of reconstruction mastectomies so that people who are about to go through those surgeries can actually go and have a look and see other women across the UK who have had the surgeries. And it actually shows you, like, maybe if they're like 3 months post-op or 6 months post-op. Really so it allows, because, and for anyone, if you're watching this, if you are about to go through a mastectomy and you're looking through the handbook that they give you and it shows you the photos, please don't worry, not all surgeries look like that. They are real women that are in the books, but I feel like they're maybe quite outdated because I feel like the surgeries have probably advanced quite a lot. Even when you look at like scarring now, the way that you scar and everything like that has changed dramatically, that to sometimes you can't even see the scar. So I think in that sense, updating those images of course would help, but to see real life women that have gone through surgery and at least fairly recently allows you to, I suppose, kind of not worry. I mean, I just recently had a revision surgery because I'd lost quite a lot of weight. They'd changed quite a lot and they didn't look how they should. The implants were very obvious, so I had a revision surgery to sort of fix that. Those are sort of options that are there because although this is something that we've chose, it is a preventative thing, and if you're not 100%, the idea is that they'll get you as close to what you can be so that you're still happy. It wasn't that it necessarily bothered me, it was just, it was quite obvious to other people, and they were like, oh, like, why does, you know, oh, what's that lump? And you're like, oh, it's not a lump, it's just it's just my implant. It's not.
See, before we move on for that, see, obviously you're talking about the backup groups or whatever. What's their Twitter? Because not Twitter, Instagram, sorry.
Brca chat or Brca_chat. But I'll link you to them because they're a charity that I've sort of followed quite closely, spoke to quite a lot. Obviously, both women, both founders have gone through mastectomies, so they were both like my go-tos when, like, just after surgery. One of them's Edinburgh based, and the other one's based in England. So, and they do quite regular meetups for people across the UK. So I think that's really good as well because it allows you to meet other people that are in the same situation and just kind of talk about it. But it opens up that network and actually having somewhere.
To speak to people face to face, because if you don't really know and you end up Googling it, you end up in a Google black hole and you scare the shit out yourself, man.
And almost, I think on every single post that I've posted on Instagram about anything to do with the gene or the journey or anything like that, I have always said, like, my DMs are always open because I understand how difficult it is to be in that position and not know what or who to ask. Even if it's something that I couldn't answer. Maybe like if it's not the reconstruction that I've had or something along those lines that I couldn't relate to, there's a chance that I maybe know somewhere that I could direct them to. So I'm totally open for people, and I've spoken to people from all over the UK, and I've spoken to quite a few people in America who have the same gene as me. because it's just started being tested for in Scotland, and obviously they can't link you up with people being like, oh, these are wee gene buddies.
Exactly.
But because I'd started posting on Instagram, a couple of people had found me and reached out, and the fact that we've got the same gene is just slightly mad, but because it was just me and my mum.
See, just to go back to like, on your story, obviously, you come across as if you're absolutely smashing it, you're taking it in your stride, which is amazing, it really is. But see that when you get the phone call to going in and getting the procedure done, what was that like, that spell in between? Because you knew it was coming.
I think because we were just kind of coming out of COVID as well at that point, there was still quite a big wait, so I didn't actually know when my surgery was going to be. So I think when I found out about the gene, I knew that I was having the surgery. Like, we knew that the surgery was the end game, but we just didn't know when it was. Yeah. So I think for a lot of it, it was the anticipation, it was the not knowing, it was the, am I just going to randomly get a letter in the post and say in 6 weeks' time, like, that's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is... But it actually did take... It was probably about a year or just under a year from when I found out to when I had my surgery.
It must have been a long time in your head, but the what if or when will.
And I think so...
No knowing nothing.
So I think I found out about the gene, I want to say maybe like the 13th of October. And I had my surgery on the 4th of October. So it was almost like a year to the day where I'd sort of found out and actually getting it. But between that, I'd seen 2 psychologists. I'd spoken with my genetics counsellor. I'd seen the breast surgeon. I had also seen a plastic surgeon because I was undecided about my reconstruction options. So they have to get like a different surgeon in because it's a different procedure. Spoke with him, wasn't really that sort of keen for that procedure, so then it just meant that I was only going to have one surgeon. Went back, seen her, she was like, yeah, right, passed everything, like good to go. Booked the date, and then I think it was like, I posted on Instagram, like, booked the surgery. It was however many days, but it was like, maybe like, it was like 2 months, 3 months, if that, from like when I booked it to when I had the surgery. But I think all in, like, mentally, it was more the wait. I think it was like, I just want it over and done with. Like, the anticipation had built up. I'd got myself sort of just ready for it, and it was like, can we hurry up?
See, that a big element of that, obviously, because you were 25 when you found out and decided to go through with surgery, but that's still at an age where kind of clothes that like girls are wearing are probably like revealing their bodies in their prime, that kind of stuff. Was there like a worry about that you're saying about body dysmorphia and stuff? Do you know what I mean? To
an extent, I mean, and it's, again, because as I say, like, I've lost quite a lot of weight now. And it's funny because going into it, because I was a little bit bigger and I was already kind of unhappy with my body, I just thought, well, the body dysmorphia can't hit any harder than it already has. So it wasn't, for me, like, it wasn't like, oh, like, I don't want to get my belly out, because I probably wouldn't have got my belly out anyway. But when it came to, like, going out, or if, like, I maybe had, like, a lower cut top on or something, like, I maybe was a little bit concerned. But because I didn't know what I was going to look like or where my scars were going to be, I didn't know how it actually was going to impact me until after it happens. And I think that's why they do have such a big push on the body dysmorphia in those counselling sessions, because you don't actually know.
So was there a lot of self-consciousness after it? Or?
No. I think after, I mean, don't get me wrong, the first couple of weeks in recovery, like, I did struggle. I hate like my own company for too long. Like,
it's the worst, isn't it?
COVID ruined it for me. Like, I literally I can't, 4 walls, too long, can't do it. It's just not for me. So
when you start answering your own questions,
when you're lying in bed and you're in pain and you just, you can't move, but you're sick of the 4 walls. You want to go outside, but you think that if you stand up and you get the fresh air, you're just going to completely faint. It's a really hard balance. You're on, I mean, I was on just really strong painkillers for like 4 days, and then you just drop down to like ibuprofen and paracetamol. Like, it's such a quick drop.
But you're saying it's such a long wait for it, and then you get the 4 days and they fly in. Because you just, you don't know.
Let me tell
you.
You
don't know
though,
if it was Wednesday or Wembley.
The morphine post-surgery definitely hit different.
It's good.
My Snapchat had a great night. I do not remember anything, but there was just videos of me going Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond, and then pushing the button. Yeah, morphine does great things.
Oh, it's good.
But yeah, I think the cabin fever definitely set in, and I think a lot of people have commitments. Like, people have work, people have got kids, people have got lives. So when you go through a surgery like this, you do want people to be there for you, but you kind of have to be realistic that just because it's 11 o'clock on a Tuesday and you're sick of your own company, you can't just have your pal come over. But it was really difficult because I am very much the type of person that gets up, that goes, is out doing something, is with someone, is just kind of on the go. So to just have to sit in my own company and like fester and people being like, you need to rest, and I'm like, I've rested enough. I've been in this bed for 4 days already. So yeah, no, like I think that part of it was difficult, but I think as you start to come out of the soreness and actually get a bit of mobility again and have the ability to sort of venture outside and get that sort of your life back, you don't feel as restricted, so you don't feel as
good,
like mentally sort of like burdened by it all. Because you're sat with your thoughts, really, aren't you? And you're just like, I'm sore. And also I think they do a pathology. So in the 3 weeks between like my surgery and like my follow-up, I was like, has there been anything in there that like I've missed? So even in those 3 weeks, I'm like, I wonder if she's found something. Just randomly, you see something on telly, like, oh, I wonder if like that looks, and you're like, oh, I wonder. And so that side of it does definitely
plays on you, doesn't it?
So yeah, I'd say definitely like avoid, keep company.
Aye.
Do they always keep a check on? If you're, see how obviously you're talking about mental, does people kind of check in on it? And
so they are supposed to. I did have a phone call once. I think it was maybe about a week and a half post-op. Just asking how I was.
That's that.
And I was just a bit like, I was really emotional on the phone as well, because by this point, like the whole like being stuck in, and I was sending my friends like voice notes of me crying, being like, I just don't want to be in here anymore. Like, you think I was locked up and not allowed to leave. It was just, I physically was just too incapable. And I was just like, I'm just really struggling with my own company. And she was just like, oh, like, hopefully
I'll speak to you in a week.
and she's like, oh, like, have you reached out to your friends? And I'm like, yeah, but they're working. I'm like, yeah, this is no help at all. And I didn't hear from her after that, so I don't know if it was me. I think it was me and not her.
Quick enough.
Yeah, like I think it's, and I get it. If you've got quite a lot of people coming in, and you're getting like quite a lot of these surgeries and stuff, and you've got people to follow up on, I get that it's maybe not your top priority. But I think either that, or you get us in like a community and we just support each other. Like, I made friends with a woman on the ward, Sarah, and she was absolutely class. She'd had breast cancer, she was in getting a revision surgery, and she was just like, it's fine. Like, she's like, I was thinking getting mine's fixed. She went, but honestly, you'll be fine. I love that.
And you need that as well. You need that.
You do. You just need that kind of, and I think if it wasn't for her, I think I probably would have spent that like first night, and that's like, well, those first sort of 2 nights, like just like hating life. But she kind of just made it like that a wee bit easier. Good. So again, it's just about if you've got the ability to have that, and I get that some people might be in a ward with people that aren't, that maybe just aren't in a position where they want to be chatty or have a laugh or talk about it. But there's something about the community where you get to have a laugh about funny things that a lot of people would be like, you can't joke about that.
It's true.
Who can't? Who can't joke about that?
No, I know. That's the importance of these charities. Like, we see it as well. You can't reiterate enough how important charities are to people, because you need to be able to have a laugh, a joke, or just something to just ease it, man. Just take attention away from stuff, and it's like, as you say, everybody's they're too busy or this is, and you understand it, you get it, but I still think that charities and that's all charities just need a wee bit more support from charity.
It seems to be that seems to be the theme of this country, but like obviously as much as the NHS would want to help, they're underfunded, they're understaffed, and the likes of that woman that phoned you, she probably wanted to
maybe potentially spend a bit more time,
but she probably had a call log of people she had to go through. So it's a shame that it needs to fall down to charities. But
again, even not just charities that like can support with like mental, like, or even just like support. There is charities out there, and don't get me wrong, in the lead up to me having my surgery, it was a bit of a nightmare, because of how life was lifing at the time. The job that I was doing was only temporary until I had my surgery. So then I didn't have a job, so I was relying on sort of benefits. So worked out I was getting like £77 a week to survive, pay my bills, you know, just live on. And I remember like reaching out. So the post-surgery bras that I had got for after surgery are really expensive. The ones that the hospital give you are great if you don't have the ability to get any. Yeah. But they were really uncomfortable on me. They were digging in. It was actually probably causing more pain than the ones that I did get. But they were £50 each.
Crazy.
And you have to hand wash them as well. So it's not like you can just bung them in the machine, hang them up, and figure it out later. You're post-surgery, you're sore, you can barely get out of your bed. Yep. The last thing you want to be doing is spending 20 minutes hand washing them, and you're going to still have to have one on while you're washing the other ones. So if you say you need 4, just out of like not causing yourself too much hassle, there's £200.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Where are you getting that for something that you actually need post-surgery? So depending on where you work, there is some charities that are affiliated with certain professions, and I had just kind of contacted them and was like, look, this is my situation, is there anything that can be done to help me? And one of the charities, I had got approved funding, so they actually bought me 2 of them. And they got sort of sent out to my house, and I'd applied to a grant, which again was a bit of a nightmare to get because it could only be one. There was like a certain affiliated charities that could apply to the grant. But to apply to the grant, you had to be affiliated with a charity.
It's a lot of red tape, isn't it?
But to be affiliated with a charity, you obviously had to have criteria to then affiliate with that charity. And I didn't really fit into them because my situation isn't, you know, a normal situation to be in. But the grant essentially was to give money to people who have had like a life change or like a change in like their life that's quite traumatic or stressful. What better than a double mastectomy? Exactly. Sign me up, like help me. So eventually, like I did find somewhere that could apply to the grant, and I did get some grant funding to help sort of cover my bills for the sort of 6 weeks that I was expecting that I was going to be out of work. But again, like that was me sort of having to go out and just kind of chance my luck a wee bit and be like, what is there out there for me? Like there's nothing anywhere that says, you know, here's some options, here's this. There's nowhere that can guide you or help you. And again, you're relying on charities, but again, sometimes if you don't affiliate with those charities, they can't help you. So there's just far too much red tape. Like,
you know, see, sometimes though, even if you are in need, a lot of people won't reach out to the charities because they don't think that they're the right person for that charity. And they don't want to bother a charity because they think somebody else could be more needing. So
that pride.
It's like, kind of like a pride thing, but if you put that in the same bracket as with all the red tape, it's just a nightmare to get through everything.
And I think, and that's probably why people don't bother. But then, as I say, I mean, I had been, so for the charity that I'd applied to for where they'd bought me the 2 bras, I had only worked in that sector for about 6 months. But they were still able to support me because I could evidence that I'd worked in that sector for that period of time. So they were able to offer assistance. they can offer like some of these charities again. Like I've worked in a bank, so you've got like bank workers charity. I've worked in the automotive industry. You've got Ben, so they can also offer like mental health services and like access to if you're maybe in debt and struggling with money.
Yeah.
There is access to different services through them if you work in those industries.
Aye.
But again, a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah.
Sometimes companies that are potentially have access to this just because they're in the industry don't know about it.
Yeah.
So there's no harm in just having a Google, having a look. What is the worst that can happen? Reach out to the charity and say, look, I'm struggling. This is the situation I'm going through. I need help. Can you help me? The worst thing that they're going to say to you is no.
Aye.
See, the biggest thing, but like fucking, like, see in like Britain, we've been told to have our stuff up our lip. And sometimes people, they don't like asking for help and they'll sit there and fucking struggle through it all. But if you need help, just fucking speak
But it's the
up.
same with when we're unwell and we force ourselves to go to work
Exactly.
because we feel so like
judged, ain't you?
anxiety crippling to phone in sick, even though you feel like you're not capable of being there.
But then, on the other hand,
Oh,
when you
I
phone the
don't.
doctor, you get your appointment, it's a week down the line. By the time a week comes, you're feeling better.
Sorry, a week. My doctor doesn't do appointments
No,
like
no.
out in advance. You have to phone on the day.
I'm the same.
8 in the morning.
It's because you live in Houston now,
I don't
man.
go to the doctor.
No.
I'm a figure
There's
of
no
health
future
here.
appointments in this life,
I
no.
actually don't go to the doctor.
You
I
used
just
to
sit in the
trust
house.
pizzas, man. You're a snob. I don't even think I've met my doctor. I think
Yeah,
it's
I don't
on
know
the
my
phone.
doctor. I know my doctor's down the road, but I've never been on site.
Aye, it's crazy. And that's another thing, as you say, you're saying just get on with it. People don't phone their doctor now, so what's the point? What's the point? And that's
Aye.
mental to even think that.
And that's the
where
thing,
I'm
and
at.
you'll have people, I mean, I've seen it in my family, it was during COVID, so again, but I suppose our situation hasn't really improved when it comes to GPs, that they've not been unwell, like they've been unwell, not really done anything about it, because, you know, doctors are under enough pressure, don't want to do anything, and then found out that they had cancer and
Crazy, isn't it?
died not even a week later.
Crazy.
And you just think, like, the hassle that you have to go through to get an appointment, how many people are genuinely sitting with something wrong with them and they just can't get through. Because I think there was a day I literally must have phoned them over 100 times.
That's
And it was
bad.
just user busy. And I'm like, no, I will get through.
It's the same with the Chinese on a Sunday night, isn't it?
It depends what one you're phoning. With. Some of them doing a bit of rotten now, man. Like,
I bet you would accept it.
I
when
don't.
you're
Cracker
like,
down Mali.
Aye.
Belter. Best Chinese I've ever had.
What, in Houston? Aye, he's a city in, man,
What's
and
the
that.
Gurup, no? I mean,
Yeah, do you get
Gurup.
Do you get salt and sauce
Yeah,
on Edinburgh
shrimp
Chinese?
Patties.
Aye, something so.
On
Salt and
Edinburgh
sauce.
Chinese?
Nah.
Salt and sauce,
And like a
chippy
chippy.
thing.
Aye, but
Aye.
I thought they put it on everything.
Nah.
Aye, it's an Edinburgh thing, but innit?
Salt and salt.
Is it an East Coast thing?
Edinburgh. Ah, yeah, Edinburgh is on East Coast, by the way.
I know that, but the other places in the East Coast do it. That's what I'm at. No, I mean, like Dundee and
don't know.
that. They have, like, what's that thing called? The Palome or something? Do you have that? Yeah, I'm saying that.
I don't even know what that is. Don't even know what that is.
Yes, actually, you're up the road.
So they're up the road.
Not even that. I think I got here in about 47 minutes.
Are you happy?
No, definitely
Oh,
not.
you one of them?
I'm the other side.
Oh, so I'm sorry to hear
I'm the
that.
better side. Come
Oh,
on.
God.
Man.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm not sure.
That's a wrap.
how the tone has turned. Gosh.
Yeah, he's one to use anyway, well,
No, he's like the big one I use.
big cousin.
Big cousin.
I get this off him all the time. All the time.
Yeah. We've not even had this conversation in a while,
Oh,
haven't
we
we?
fucking have. We had the Euros conversation. See, the last time we were here, we actually won the Euros, so we did.
That's right, aye. But
And then
I think
we
we
had the
did
whole
do-
Rangers Celtic thing.
Was
He
that
always
the
brings
own
it up.
goal or was that the one where
That was before the Germany game. we
Aye,
done
that's-
it. We Germany beating everything.
But do you actually support Hearts?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had actual supporters. I thought it was just
Yeah.
people that showed up to hate Celtic.
No,
That's what I
there's-
thought Hearts was.
Quite,
That's what
there is
it's
actually
Rangers
quite a
fans
big
are
fan
great
base of Hearts
I know,
fans, I
I know.
say. Aye.
To be fair, they're probably the bigger one out of the two of them, aren't they? But the other one's always the better half. We've had a few
No.
East Coasters on here, didn't we?
Who else?
Well, Bogey was one.
Oh,
He was a Hibby.
Aye.
No, we've had another
I
Hibby.
think he's
you
from
know?
Mars.
Who?
Don't know. I don't know.
Obviously, we're not that like memorable, so
That's what I'm thinking.
Aye.
Don't know.
You're the Hearts fan, I know.
Ah,
You're the first Hearts fan.
No,
probably the only Hearts one.
Tierney supported Cowden Beef, remember?
Well, there you go. They play in the same
No,
colour.
he didn't.
Hey, we're not going into this anyway. Where were we? Where were we?
A Chinese restaurant.
Chinese
That's
restaurants.
where we were.
But where were we before that?
Right, so we've spoke about during, before, see it after the surgery and the things you're doing since then. You became like an advocate for charities, you're speaking out, you're educating people on the conditions or whatever else. But you've also had a wee stint on comedy as well, haven't you?
I have.
What have you?
That's a big good, aye.
I have.
Do it to
So I have loved comedy for years. I remember being and obviously I live in Edinburgh, and August is such a great time for,
Fringe.
well, it's a mix. People hate it, people love it. I love it. It's the best time.
He loves a Fringe.
It's the best time of year. Like,
Powdered his own today.
Well, not here, but body positivity, leave me alone, right?
I think you should get rid of it, man, honestly. I think you
Alright,
should.
well, no, alright, okay.
Alright, comedy, the Fringe.
so I like growing up, like my dad and my uncle always used to take me up. I've been like snuck into the back of like Jim Jeffries stand up because they wanted to see it, and well, I was there, so I was dragged along. So I've always really enjoyed it, and I think as I started to grow up, started to see like obviously names like Kevin Bridges and things like that on like, and I was like, I love that. Like I just love the whole vibe. I go to stand up every year, shows during the week, throughout the whole year. Like I've always been quite like into just going to shows, and then like big up to Daniel Sloss and the sort of stand up that he's done and how he does his shows is probably one of the reasons why I sort of do the stand up that I do, because he talks about really serious stuff,
Aye.
but in such a funny way.
Aye.
And I fucking love it. Like he's just, it just always hits different because you just never know what he's going to say. And it's so relatable and you're like, I totally get that.
Yeah.
And I just was like, okay, don't know if I'm going to be any good at it, but let's just
How did you get in it? Have you done any open mic nights or?
I have tried to do at least one a week since January.
Aye.
Really?
So yeah,
Is it just
That's
open
class.
mic nights, or is it you penned in,
So,
or is it just like karaoke kind of thing?
a bit of both.
Aye.
So I started just with open mics. So I done my first at Open Comedy in Edinburgh. It's in a wee coffee shop in Leith. They're such a good laugh.
Lovely place.
Started there. Yeah, no, not for heads.
That's
Not for heads.
a lovely part of it.
It's a lovely place for the
Yeah.
comedy,
Right,
not
okay.
for the football. Let me just be clear, for the comedy, not the football. So I done my very first gig there, and then I done a Monkey Barrel free for all. If you're ever in Edinburgh on a Monday night,
Come on.
definitely recommend going. It's a good laugh. A good mix of comedy and mentally unstable.
Good.
Just given 5 minutes, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
We are here for it. And on a Wednesday, there's an open mic, all cheeky, at Waverley Bar. Couple other ones that sort of run through the week, and I've done Hoots on a Sunday. So, yeah, I've just kind of been doing like little 5 minutes, potentially sort of working up closer to like a 10. But I just kind of talk about life, be me. Obviously don't want to like give my whole set away. I just kind of talk a little bit about like dating. I talk about surgery. That is kind of like one of the main focuses, because I do talk about kind of like the funny stuff that's happened in surgery, because there's been so many things that have happened that are just funny. So why not share that with other people? The benefit of doing it, so I had been sitting in a crowd, because I was going to stand up before I actually went up, and I'd been sitting in the crowd, and one of the MCs had just started doing a bit of crowd work and had started speaking to me and my friend, and she was asking what we were up to, and at that point I was a student, and we were just telling her what we wanted to do, and I said that my goal eventually is to be working with people that are going through mastectomies, have breast cancer, and I'm someone that has gone through it, can advise, can experience, but can just be there to understand what they're going through. That is my dream job. I would love to do that. I would love to sit and talk about boobs, breast cancer, mastectomies all day, every day, because I do think it is really important. I don't think enough people check their breasts. I'm going to say it, like, you guys should be checking your chest, like, just because you don't have like breasts,
I
you do still have
man.
breast tissue, so from your rib cage up to your collarbones, under your armpits and your nipples are all things that you do need to be looking
I
at.
know guys can get that.
It gives me the fear.
Up to 400 men a year get diagnosed with breast
seriously,
cancer in the UK.
Aye.
So abnormalities should we be feeling for?
So you should be looking for sort of like lumps, bumps, any sort of like discharge or sort of changes in your nipples. So things like inverted, if they change.
I'll get an in and out.
To be honest, the best thing to do is if you're regularly checking your chest, you're going to know if something's different. So the whole point is that if you're checking your chest regularly, and it's a big thing in the sort of the breast cancer community, that you check your chest on the 1st, because it's the 1st of the month, it's a new month, it's just why not do it? You can do it in the shower, you know, you can do it when you're getting ready, like if you put moisturiser on, if you're putting fake tan on, you know, there's so many opportunities that you can literally just take a couple of minutes to feel your chest. That allows you to then know what is normal for you. And then if something changes, you can be like, oh, well, that's a bit different. You can monitor it for a week or two. And if it still hasn't changed, it hasn't gone away, that's when you would then go to your GP and say, look, I've got a change. Or if it's got bigger, you'll be able to then monitor it. Again, for women who are on periods, it's important to know what your breasts feel like when you're on your cycle, because your breasts do change, especially in the lead up to your cycle and after. So knowing what feels normal at different points of the month for you, but just knowing what your actual chest feels like. And then it means that it's probably, it's a preventable.
Of course,
it's a potentially preventable cancer, because you can noticeably feel for it. You can look for it. You can try and identify it. Obviously, something a bit more internal, you don't have that ability, and unfortunately, it's just something that'll happen. But you have the ability to have a look and just say, actually, that is a bit different. So yeah, I'd love to sit and do this all the time, because I think it would be great, but I think it's needed. I don't think there's enough out there. And obviously, recently I was down in London with Copperfield, which is a national breast cancer charity that focuses on the education of checking your chest after the founder had breast cancer and unfortunately recently passed away, Chris Hellinger. So her main focus was that, because she was turned away by the doctors, she had lumps, she had a lump, was turned away, was told that she was too young to have breast cancer. And then unfortunately, by the time that she was diagnosed, it was too late.
How can they say that? You're too young.
I think, see, with GPs, I think it's a job.
Viral.
It's a job for a GP, so I think they can have off days like us. So, for instance, if
or inundated with bombardment.
and then
if they don't know, it's a virus.
Aye.
I just think that's ridiculous to hear that you're too young for something when you hear of children with cancer. I think that's mental.
I mean, one of the girls that I started speaking to throughout sort of my search, I think our birthdays are about 14 days apart, and she had breast cancer at 23.
Fuck's sake, man.
She paid for a private gene test that she sent off to him, because she lives in England, so she wasn't entitled to the
Was
additional
that the same gene test that you got?
So hers was private, because she wasn't able to get the one that would cover the gene that I've got, or any of the other ones that they were sort of testing for, because NHS Scotland and NHS England are different entities, so they don't test the same things.
Law, isn't it?
So she'd paid for a private gene test that got sent off to America, and it came back that she didn't actually have a gene. So her cancer was just random. There wasn't a genetic link. I think the figure is something like 10% of breast cancer cases are linked to genes.
Right.
But again, genes still play a big factor. And I think just even like that, again, that switch of just turning it off and not having it to worry about, I think is just a totally different.
Aye. You see, just to reiterate what you say, is that women, men, they, and everything in between, like, make sure you're checking lumps, bumps, balls as well. Balls as well.
Everything, man.
And that's how I know I love Gemma, because you're saying check it every 1st of the month. I think I check hers every
There you go.
first time I see her. So,
So you should be able to know if there's a change.
I'll know an abnormality.
Probably know her. I'm just getting abnormality before her.
Aye. Gemma, that's a wee bit after.
But yeah.
I seen you saying aye and agreeing with a lot of stuff when they were talking about moisturising, fake tan and periods.
I've not done
Like as if you have had all of them.
I get sympathy periods. I start craving chocolate and I swell up.
Yeah, there's a couple of times I thought I've been pregnant.
Eat a bar of chocolate.
Honestly,
You know.
there's like a few times I thought I've been pregnant and every pie on the way on and starving all the time. What? I'm not. I know I'm not pregnant, but I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
Know what I mean?
I tell you what, though.
Is it telling you?
I get cravings. I had to stop in the middle of busy road to go into a wee farm shop to get strawberries.
I thought you were going to say I'd drink a milk.
You might get diabetic.
No, it was cravings. When she was pregnant.
Oh, right, I thought you meant for you.
I get the cravings. I get massive.
I thought you were talking about you as well.
So did that.
Being pregnant?
No, you because all I heard was I had to pull over to get strawberries. I was craving.
Aye, it was cravings. I swear to God, she's pregnant and I'm getting all the cravings.
I'm sure Erin sent me to McDonald's for like pickles or something like that. And I poured mob McDonald's. It was either that or we were at pictures or something. I know what it was. It was they have gherkin things. I don't know what you call them.
Aye, is that pickle?
Jalapenos. And a cup of cheese sauce. And people looked at me, obviously, I'm carrying a bit of timber at the time. They're like, what is that fat guy all about? Like,
It's got to be done.
Aye, big cup of cheese
There's,
sauce. Right back with it.
I always find like some pregnancy cravings like just really like like the top two that I can think of just as we were talking about that was coal and chewing sponges.
Chewing sponges.
Aye, you've tried it?
Nah,
Lovely.
I hate.
Sponges are lovely.
I hate the feeling of sponges. Never mind the thought. I've actually chewed.
There's a name for that. It's scared the things with holes in it.
But Jordan.
What?
It's
You
not.
can't wear Crocs in there. They must be terrified
mate,
of
I'm
the old
shit
Crocs.
scared of them.
Aye, you'd like a good Dundee on your feet, mate. That's good.
A what?
Crocodile Dundee.
Oh, aye.
Oh, that joke. Here, I sent you a new one, didn't I? They've got like go faster, like lines up them.
Sports mode.
Oh, they're crackers, man.
Oh,
Bet
it's
you
a
could
pair of
sprint
these I
them.
want now.
No.
So fast I put them on the day, brand new trainers, and see how fast I can
Yeah,
run in these.
see before we like,
Just put Crocs in sport mode.
I see, I'd end up tripping over
But you
them.
turn it, see if you put your Crocs in sport mode, you turn it into instant Karen.
How?
My mum's name's Karen.
But I don't get it. I'm rapid in my Crocs.
So you put Crocs on, you just complain about restaurants and things like that.
Aye, I'll tell you what, my next fight I'll wear Crocs.
Do you have to use a hawk to get your Crocs on?
If I'm allowed, aye.
You never even heard me. I don't know.
What is it?
Boxing
What did you say?
Do you have to use a hawk to get your Crocs on?
No.
Aye, alright.
Mate, you need to get a pair and you'll understand.
No chance.
You'll understand.
It's a pair of
Once you get them, you'll never go
I'm
back.
telling you.
You're wrong about with a tyre.
You had
Have
me
you
for a
got
couple of
the fluffy
days.
bits on yours? Have you seen the ones that people with the fluffy
Seasonally. In the winter I do. Aye.
Can't you wear them? That's like kind of about
No,
on the summer.
no, but you can
Aye.
take you
In the
take the
winter?
straps off and then you just put
Oh,
them
right.
on and then you put the straps back on.
Oh, I thought you.
Does that not see seasonally, see when it's raining, there's holes in them? Do you know just put your feet in it like a big wet sponge?
No.
Aye, and I've only got 8
No,
toenails.
because I wouldn't say you notice it, to be honest. I feel like my feet get more wet when I don't have them in, but I don't ever notice the liners getting wet. It's really weird.
Oh no, I couldn't do that, man.
Mate,
But the liners are nice
puddles
in the
and that.
winter, to be honest, especially when you're out and it's cold. Because you
Do you
don't
know
get the
something?
breeze coming through the holes,
Do you know
like
something?
it stops them.
There's something that's been going about for years that's better than the
No
liners.
flip flops.
Sliders.
Socks.
Aye.
Yeah, a pair of socks
Bet
on.
you go on holiday and wear sliders with white socks. You creep.
I do. I wore them this morning.
How
You
can
put your
call-
tail down, all the-
I know.
all the loungers at 5 in the morning.
You're slagging people for having a pair of Crocs on, which are obviously normal, and you're cutting about. Wait, I bet you the socks cut past your calf and all, as if you're 18.
And he cuts the back of them.
Aye.
Football players.
Bet you, and they say like hype on the front of your sliders and that.
Aye.
That's the kind of guy you are.
Aye, you're right.
Disgusting.
Aye.
Absolutely disgusting.
This all came from Crocs here, didn't it?
I know, and do you know
Most
what?
here.
And Crocs have became like a fashion statement.
They have it.
No,
I'm
They
not
are
really sponsorship,
everywhere.
It's today with anarchy. Because people go like that, people don't like the system now and they go, I'm going to wear Crocs so people know I don't fuck with the system.
Do you know what I think it is? There was a film where a guy took the ugly lassie in the school and made her popular. I think somebody has took the ugly shoe.
What was that
and tried to
film
make
called
it-
again?
I
They took
can't-
Shallow
took it to
Hal.
prom.
Fuck, remember it?
No, took it to prom,
and
but
all that.
did not fuck
He
it
fell
up.
in love with her and all that.
No, I thought they fucked up at the end.
And she ended up
pulled
taking her
some lure,
glasses
was that
off and she
Carrie?
was
It was
not
Carrie,
wearing
wasn't it? Then she ended up killing everybody.
Yeah, do you know what we need to
That's
mention?
Crocs. That's Crocs in the film world.
We need to pull it away for Crocs and mention Vary Murray.
All right, yeah.
She's a brilliant woman. She likes and shares all her stuff, and likewise we do with hers as well, and see what she does as well. She lets people come on and tell stories. And obviously you've been on and you've done a podcast with her as well, didn't you? Yeah. What was your kind of thoughts about her?
I loved it.
Aye.
Yeah, I feel like me and like Manny had such a good vibe.
I thought I said Vary, didn't I? Is it Mary?
Mary.
Fuck, I said Vary.
That's that Henry Weston getting to you.
And then, I feel like we really vibed. Like we just had such like a good energy like from the start. So I feel like it was quite good for us to get the chat out. And I think, especially being like a woman and having that, she'll understand it if she like from the perspective if she was to go through it. And I think like I also like the perspective because you guys have asked stuff that people don't always ask, and that's why I love doing this sort of stuff, because it's different perspectives, it's different opinions, but it's still the same topic, but it's just given like a little bit more of an insight. And it means that someone somewhere, if they watch this and they're about to go through this they're about to go through this type of surgery, they can see this, they'll get like a little bit of an insight, and it means that if they've got further questions,
don't go and Google.
Don't Google it. No. Whatever you do, do not Google. Get in my DMs, let me know, and like if I can help, like I'll guide you to the right place. So
and it's kind of went full circle. Obviously, when you were on there, you were talking about how like being body positive and confident in your own body and stuff. I think Mary is going through her own wee bit of sun just now.
And I think as well, it takes you to go through something to then sort of come out the other side and go, oh, actually, do you know what? Like it wasn't maybe as bad as what I thought it was. And again, I think that I thought that I was going to be potentially in a worse position now, especially mentally. Like I thought that I was going to be, not depressed, but I didn't think, again, like as I said, like I was already kind of unhappy with my body. So for me, it couldn't have really got any worse. But now it's actually got better in the sense that I probably do feel a lot more confident. Obviously growing up, being like younger and just, being like young, drunk, funny. There's been times and there's loads of funny stories that involve my nipples, and it's funny that I don't have them anymore because I don't have that worry that like I'm going to be drunk or whatever and it's just going to fall out. I don't have to worry. But I have had someone come up to me on a night out and go, I don't know if you know this, but your nipple's hanging out. And I just looked him deadpan in the face and went, I don't have any nipples, so my nipple isn't hanging out. And he was like, what? And you could see for the rest of the night, because let's be serious, the guy stared at me for a good hour and a half after that, trying to work out if it was genuinely a nipple or not. It was not, it was just a bit of my scar. But again, like things like this is what actually sometimes makes it that wee bit better, because funny things happen. Like,
that's the stuff you can take on at the comedy
I'm
scene.
I'm quite open about it. Like if I match with guys on like Tinder or Hinge, like I actually got a bit on my Hinge, and you've probably heard the story about the person that went to Thailand and they got their nipples stolen. So
do you know that?
No.
Have you not? Oh, right. So basically,
I'm better not get back here.
So there was this story that went about that this girl had went to Thailand and she'd got a boob job, and obviously she had her bandages and stuff on, and she returned home. And when she got home and took her bandages off, her nipples were gone.
What was there? Just
like they just removed them. So probably exactly what I look like. There's just nothing there. I just look like a Barbie doll.
Oh, imagine
like Barbie doesn't have nipples either. So like she'll just, so she obviously was a bit like, what the fuck? So there was this whole thing all over TikTok about this girl who had her nipples stolen in Thailand. And one of my Hinge prompts is, like, one thing I'll never do again is go to Thailand for a boob job, because I got home to recover and realised that they'd stole my nipples. The amount of men that have messaged me going, no way did that actually happen. I'm like, yeah, totally went to Thailand. I'm like, no, I'm joking. Light-hearted joke. Just a way to bring it up. But I actually don't have any nipples.
So wait a minute. There's somebody running about Thailand with somebody else's nipples on.
So from the comment section and what I'd seen from that video, apparently they are high value in Thailand.
Much they paying for nipples?
For like women's nipples, because of people who are potentially having sort of like change surgeries.
Holy fuck, both.
That it means that they're like a higher demand.
Shit. Much they paying on nipple.
But like I don't know, like black market nipples. I mean, if I knew that like nipples were, and if I knew that you could get paid for nipples, I'd have been in Thailand for the mastectomy. Like,
absolutely,
pay me for this, please.
Absolutely.
But no, like I think it's one of those things where at some point it is going to come up. I mean, if you follow me on my personal Instagram, my other Instagram's in the bio. So it's not going to take you that long to figure out that I've had this surgery and that I openly talk about the fact that I've had the surgery and the fact that I don't have any nipples. So it has to come up at some point.
Yeah.
Why not just... Because I've had people come back and be like, oh, I'm sorry, like, I'm just really into nipples.
All
and
right.
I'm like...
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I might go to Thailand then, mate. You can buy a bag of them.
Big bag of nipples.
I'm like, okay, like, never a response that I've ever had. Someone offered me their third nipple.
They're nubbing.
Yeah, literally.
They're nubbing.
He was like, oh, like I've got a third one. Like, do you want it? And I was like, I don't want your reject nipple for a start, but also like cross-body contamination. Like, you're fine, just have it. Someone else offered to lend me a nipple. So I was like, well, am I going to have to find a lawyer? Is this like a custody battle? Like, am I about to become a part-time dad to two nipples?
I'm going to have a weekend nipple.
Literally, it's so, it's...
I thought you were weird too, Jordan, but here we go.
Yeah.
A wee bit. But here, see, talking about like dating and stuff as well, like obviously comes after that, if it goes well, is pregnancy. Is that a part of having the mastectomy and stuff? Do some people worry about that, not being able to breastfeed and stuff?
Obviously that is one of the things that they do talk about when you go through the psychology, is the fact that they do obviously remove all your all your abilities to breastfeed, even if you choose to have a preventative surgery and you keep your nipples, because that is an option. You just don't reduce your risk as much. And for me, I was just like, I want to reduce it as much. But for some people, and I know some girls who have chose to keep theirs because aesthetically and also mentally for body dysmorphia, it was just something that they wanted to keep. And that is totally fine. I've got the option to have mine tattooed on, to be honest. Can't really be bothered. Quite happy with the whole plain aesthetic. But I think all in, it's just about sort of just like embracing like that whole experience and just taking out of it what you can and not kind of fret about it.
Good.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're speaking.
You're still stuck on the nipples.
I'm totally. I'm not going to sleep tonight. I really am. It's going to do my nothing.
What are you going to hang about?
A bag of nipples in Thailand, because I ate some fucked up shit in Thailand. I mean, like, did I eat fried nipples or something?
No, what did you eat in Afghan again?
A goat stick.
Just so we were clear.
Oh, and you've ate nipples in Thailand?
I think so. Well, I might have.
You're going for the full body.
Did you hook to over it first? Or?
Oh no, they go. No,
Didn't even chew it?
No, just heavy.
Straight down what
Straight in the hole.
What a seagull.
That was.
Mind you were saying, mind you phoned me, I wasn't in that Afghan, but you're phoning me, you don't know why women gag. You should have just went right. or guys. Well, yeah.
Oh man. This isn't happening. I'm not talking about goat sticks and that again, man. I've just got over that. But I seriously fucking mind it with the nipples.
But here, listen, we've got 10 minutes left, and I think we should use this for driving home. Obviously, what you stand for, and if anybody needs any support and stuff, like where do they find you? And
Who put him in charge?
He just did his salary, haven't he?
I just seen that.
No, I agree.
Well, that's fine. I would say definitely the likes of your sort of like your main charities. So you've got like Breast Cancer Now, you've got Prevent Breast Cancer, there's Cancer Research, there's Macmillan. Your big organisations are really good for your general information, especially when it comes to like surgical and actual procedures. Like, you don't want none of the sort of like the scare from like Google, like get it from like a reliable source. The likes of some smaller charities, so obviously as I mentioned, Brca Chat, COP, I feel I would say is probably starting to become more of like a bigger line charity when it comes to sort of educating. Again, they don't necessarily do sort of close peer-to-peer, but they've got quite a lot of good resources out there. They do reminder text messages every month. It's a free service, and they will text you some funny little anecdotes every month, just to remind you to check your chest.
Good.
They've got an app that can be tailored to you as well about sort of checking yourself. And again, obviously my Instagram, real life Barbie XO.
Who'll share it as well.
At that, again, there's lots of stuff. I also follow quite a lot of people, charities and things like that. So even if you maybe don't want to directly message me, you don't even have to follow me. You can just jump onto the page, have a little look through the followers, because there's lots of different charities and different people that have got affiliations or are sort of ambassadors or influencers that you'll be able to potentially reach out to and get some sort of support. Obviously, my DMs are always open. As I say, I love talking about this stuff. I think it's so important, especially the fact that I've gone through this experience. I can relate to it on a different level to what your doctors and your surgeons can. They might be doing the surgery, but they're, you know, it's not like a lived thing.
Aye.
Again, like going back to even just what it feels like. If you've ever had like a dental block at the dentist and you can't feel your lips, like you know that they're there, but you just can't feel them.
Aye.
That is about as close a representation as what I could compare them to, as to what like my chest feels like now.
Yeah.
It's just like I've been at the dentist,
Seriously?
just dental block.
That's mad.
Because
So-
there's a lot of nerves.
So all of the nerves get sort of like cauterized. So there is no sensation. Sometimes sensation can come back, but again, it's not guaranteed. But yeah, as I say, there's lots of stuff out there. Check things like affiliate charities with your workplace, because they can also offer. Obviously mental health is such a big thing, and we know that the NHS are struggling just now. A lot of charities could even potentially offer something like a couple of sessions with a counsellor. If you're going through something like this and it's quite difficult, of course you've got the NHS counsellors that will be there for that part of the procedure. But if you're going through any other life stuff and you maybe just need to offload about everything else that's going on in your life, take advantage of these opportunities that are there for you, because they're not there for everyone. And if you've got access to it, then use it, because one day it might not be there and you might really want it and it's not there.
Yeah.
So don't lose out.
It doesn't matter what you're going through. We say this all the time, whether it's something mental or it's physically. If it's getting to you, speaking is so important. Just literally to sit down and chat helps massively. We know we've all been there, and we can't say it enough to people. And I get there's people out there that struggle to just make that step, but honestly, once you've made that step, it's plain sailing for there, innit?
And I think, as I say, there's a lot of people that have reached out to me who have maybe not had preventative surgery but are older. So I've spoken to like a mother who's got 3 daughters. 2 of them have tested for the gene and they don't have it, and the other one hasn't been tested yet, so doesn't know, because she's just a little bit younger. And she's like, I don't know like what to do. And I'm like, well, as someone who's probably like similar ages to what your daughter is but not like close enough, you're probably just going to have to let her kind of figure it out on her own. Like there's no one that can tell you that it's the right time. It could get to a week before your surgery and you could think, I can't do this. And that is totally fine. You're allowed to feel like that. It's about you taking control. That is the whole point of it. You've been given the information. You know that you've got the gene. You know that you've got the opportunity to prevent it. If you want to prevent it, then it is there. It is you taking that chance and that opportunity. You are in control. It's not about what anybody else says. It's not about anybody else's opinion. The amount of people that said to me before my surgery, why are you having the surgery if you don't have cancer?
Why take the risk? Why take the risk?
Why wait for cancer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why wait for cancer? Do you know, I mean, again, I was 25 when I found out. I'm 28 now. Obviously, I'm single. I don't have any kids or anything like that. But in the future, I may potentially have kids. If I hadn't had the surgery, I would hate to have brought a child into the world and then potentially have cancer and then my child have to go through and see that. Because as much as we can say, oh, you know, kids are young and things like that, I am the way that I am because I've experienced my mum's loss from her family having cancer. And I have been so consciously aware of breast cancer from a young age that as I started to get older, that it was like, oh, right, okay, now we're at the point where it's real and I need to be worried about it. So I just didn't want to be in that position. So I think that being in a place where you are comfortable with what you're doing and know that you're doing it for you and not necessarily for anyone else. Obviously, if you've got kids like that, that might be your focus, and that again is totally fine, but it's not about other people's opinions. If you want to have the surgery and people don't support you with that, it is your decision. There is loads of other people either within the community or within your life that will support you through that, because it's a big decision to make, and almost every single person that I have spoken to will always say something like, you know, you're so brave, or you know, it's such a tough thing to go through. And the chances are, after your surgery, you'll be sat here and you'll be like, it wasn't brave. It was just one of those things that I had to do, or that I chose to do. It wasn't, it was the decision that made sense for me and in my life, and especially at that time. So don't ever regret that point, because I definitely don't. Like, I'm sat here now, it'll be 2 years in October, and I do not regret a single thing from the journey at all.
I think it's braver being sat here speaking about it, being able to get the message out there, and knowing that you're a 25-year-old woman, so you could be seen different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being able to speak about it and say, no, this is me, this is my story.
Yeah.
That's brave for me.
Because I think a lot of people, and like, again, this is sort of like probably like I think it's the third time like I've sort of came on something like this and spoke about the sort of the journey. And again, there's still so much that I can talk about. There's so many individual bits that I can delve into that and expand on so much more. But the reason that I do it is because it's so important that that is spoken about. And again, I think, as I said before, and as I say all the time, whether it affects me or whether it affects you directly, each of you have got like a mum, you might have a sister, you might have aunties, you might have daughters in the future, you might have grandchildren, and that will affect. And also you're going to have, you've got brothers, you've got sons, you've got people in your lives who are,
son as well,
who need to be conscious of their bodies and keeping an eye on it and knowing what's normal for them. Because eventually we will hopefully be at a point where this doesn't need to be done. I don't have to come on a podcast and talk about what a mastectomy is, or how life is, because we all know our bodies well enough that if anything was to come up, we know how to get it dealt with, we know how to get it seen to, and it just becomes like a normal process of life. But checking your chest and being consciously aware, like brushing your teeth, isn't something that we do. And I think that eventually at one point in life, we will hopefully get to a point where people check their chest, not as regular as they brush their teeth, I'd hope, but they're at least checking and they know better, because then, sad for the charities, but they won't need to exist because people are on top of it. And again, I think it's like every charity that they hope that is the outcome. But
that would be the perfect outcome, wouldn't it? If the charities weren't there because it's already dealt with.
Essentially, it's at least one, as I said before, one of the cancers that we can try and at least be on top of and get ahead of early, because the sooner you catch it, the sooner you can be treated, and the sooner that, you know, that there's less chance of, you know, things progressing. So get on top of it, stay on top of it, and just keep talking about it. Like,
spread the message.
Thanks very much for sharing that with us, Zoe.
This has been not a problem. It's
been brilliant. You spread a very positive mindset, definitely, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant to see. So keep that up. But and you two want to share before we call it a day?
No, I'm good.
Zoe, thank you very much for coming on. And what we'll do is anything we post with you in it, we'll obviously tag you in it. And I'm going to look at the camera and I'm going to give people a row. Check your bits. Check your boobs, check your balls, and make sure go and get your smear test done, because stop putting it half and all.
Fair enough. Big shout out to Paul at the Green Room. Amazing.
Last episode in here.
This is our last episode in here, and it doesn't mean we're going away, but so you still need to keep watching and all that good stuff. Paul's moving to a new studio.
Sean's moving house.
Aye, people keep thinking this is my living room, but no. Big shout out to Paul. Phenomenal, be lost with him, and keep an eye out for the boys climbing Nevis on Sunday. I'm not doing it because I've got a
good luck,
wedding.
boys. As soon as you said that, I was instantly tired, so I will be.
You're not up for it, no?
No, thanks. I've got quite a lot of extra weight on the top half now that I didn't have before. The thought, it's not going to work. Logistically, it's not going to work. Sorry.
We'll do it for
I'll
you.
support you from home. I'll support you from home.
So I think I'm going to need to start promoting this fight on the 3rd August. That'll be Jordan's job.
So the big man's hopefully getting in the
3rd August?
3rd August to hopefully get his fucking head knocked off. I'll be fighting on QFC Summer Sizzler card in Linwood in the Onyx Centre.
I'll post things about tickets.
So it's an event run by QFC. There's still tickets on sale, and the big man will be going on to fight an unknown heavyweight boxer to make it 2-0, hopefully.
Aye.
So if anybody wants to come around, messages, we'll get you tickets. And
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Good luck to the big man.
So that's been an Nail in the Fish. Thanks very much, Zoe. Much appreciated.
No problem, being an absolute
Thank you.
pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
That's
Thanks
an
for
Nail in the
coming.
Fish.